All right, what's
Really
our
not
first
gonna
topic?
peek.
Okay, so dun, 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 dun. All right, so in recent days, Hurricane Ida has actually affected Louisiana. What? Why are you looking at me like that, Shane?
I was looking at Tater with the moving of the microphone.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
my bad.
Okay, Hurricane Ida has left hundreds of thousands of people trapped without power in Louisiana. They've been sending boats, helicopters, high water trucks to get people out of their homes. People are actually posting on social media their addresses so that the rescue crew can actually come and find them. But people have been sitting out there through Sunday, basically, on top of their houses, just waiting to get rescued. So, um,
Horrible.
yeah.
I mean, I don't feel. I feel for the people who don't have the option to evacuate when they're ordered to evacuate, especially given. I mean, thankfully, from what I understand, maybe your research delved more into it in the last few hours, but only one person has died so far from it, which is a blessing because people actually learned they heeded what they learned after Katrina down there. But
Yeah.
still, if you have the means to evacuate and you don't, I'm like, what are you doing? But I'm thankful only one person has died. I mean, I know I've heard spoken to some people's family members are going 5 days without water. They're saying some it's probably gonna be longer than that. 30 days without electricity seems to be what they're looking at. But
There are a lot of homes and businesses between like Louisiana and Mississippi that were left without power. So it's not just Louisiana that's getting affected, but there's a lot of people who are kind of going through the process and need our assistance. So Shane, would you like to go down the varied list that you like to
well,
put
this is a much
together?
shorter list this week. But if you want to donate to help, Salvation Army Disaster Relief, American Red Cross, AirLink, AmeriCares, Direct Relief, Global Giving Foundation, Save the Children, all which will be linked below for those watching this clip on YouTube. And of course, you can just Google any of those if you want to donate to help individuals down there. Has anybody ever been through a hurricane or knows any family members who have?
I've had family members who have been through the one in Puerto Rico.
Actually, yeah, my stepdad was there during that time.
Scary.
He left after, you know, he was going to visit and got caught up.
Ooh,
Damn.
yeah, it's pretty scary. I've never been to one, but it looks
I
terrifying.
don't think I'd ever want to be through a hurricane. Just the one that we had that kind of came close-ish to us, and we were expected to get like high winds and all that nonsense. I was expecting to like see like
Well, were you here
stuff
for
flying at my
for
window.
for the tropical storm for Sandy? Were you here?
I was not here. I was actually in Ohio. We actually lost power then, so we were all the way inland, and we still lost power. I think we were without power for 3 days. The rest, I have to say, the rest of our street was out, and there were like two buildings, including mine, that had power.
Wow.
So we got
So
lucky.
so far inland for that, but yeah,
I
That
know.
was in that was in 2011, right?
12.
12.
Yeah,
Because I
12.
think that I was in Michigan during that time for a wedding, and they canceled my flight, and I had to like reschedule and everything because they wouldn't
Mm.
let me go through because of the hurricane.
Bex, you were here, right? You were probably in college at the time, no?
Yeah. I don't remember the weather being bad or anything, but I remember lugging a bunch of canned food to City College for like donations and stuff, and a bunch of drives about it and stuff. But I never like actually was close to anything that could have like showed me how bad it was.
I think most of it was like, I want to say like Rockaway area, Long Island,
Uh, well,
that
no.
got a good portion of it.
That's how it seemed at the time in my head. But
Howard Beach was
so
hit, I think,
Well,
pretty
I
bad
was
too.
I was staying with my then girlfriend in Greenpoint before I moved to Greenpoint, and we were just in the apartment. It didn't seem like anything but a bad storm. It wasn't really till the morning that we turned on
Yeah.
TV and saw that the subways were flooded, this and the other thing. And just 2 blocks away was North Williamsburg, and that entire area flooded. So it was
My dad
within
was
two
actually
blocks
in
from me.
Greenpoint at some
mm,
point then, and I remember him calling and telling me that he walked across the bridge to my aunt who lived like by Delancey and everything, right on the other side of the Williamsburg. And I remember him telling me that they met up in the middle of the bridge because they couldn't take the trains. So
Well,
they
I had
walked.
to walk over the Pulaski Sky Bridge to get because I was working at the Time Warner Center at the time. So I was staying there, and then I had to walk from Greenpoint to the Time Warner Center, 59th and Central Park South. And then at one point the train started operating, but we couldn't go that far because that crane was coming off on Billionaires Row and whatnot. But yeah, that was effective, and we volunteered. I should have volunteered more days, but that's a fault on me. But we volunteered one day, went to Staten Island, and that was when you get on, they had all these school buses, and you get on, they're telling you bring shovels, bring gloves, bring this, bring that, and the guys who are like, and the women who are organizing are like, you're gonna see stuff you've never seen before. You cannot show emotion because you all get to go home tonight, and the people you're gonna meet today don't. And when you get there, you see houses lifted off their foundations down the block from where they're supposed to be. You hear houses they can't get into because if you walk in, they might collapse, and you hear dogs and cats crying for their lives because they're starving to death. You see a woman. I helped a woman. Her friend wanted to throw out all these old photo albums. I'm like, they're still good. They're still good. And the water line, and we clean this person. We were able to clean like 2.5 places, and it doesn't sound like a lot, but like 20 people take your house. You move on an hour later to the next one. You clean up the front, and it helps. It helped the people because they're dealing with like, am I losing my house? And then we saw the inspectors come in, and we saw this one couple, young couple, had just bought their house, praying. It comes out, I was like, it's got to be condemned, and they just the look on their faces. So like, just seeing that in person, and in New York, you think you're kind of safe from that, and you're not. You know,
Yeah, you're really not. But I mean, even though you only did it for one day, it still goes a long way. You still help someone.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you know
Balls,
what
about
happens to the animals in those sort of situations?
If they
You
couldn't
can't
get
tell
to
me
them, they
about
were
little
left.
animals stuck in houses like that.
If they can't get to them, they were left to go. I remember numerous dogs and cats where Ashley used to live were left to die in the apartments after 9/11 because they could not let people back in, or people who lived in those apartments were not still alive to go back and get them. A lot of people in those buildings in Battery Park City, they did allow them a 1 hour window around like 9:15 to go get their animals and their belongings because they didn't know. First, it was contaminated, and they also weren't sure about structural integrity for certain buildings. And in fact, the building you used to live in, Ashley, now obviously you're not there anymore, so I can say this. A lot of teachers left New York after 9/11, and they actually took that building, and like, 'cause there was like 2 towers, I think, where you lived or whatever. They made those apartments a lot cheaper to entice teachers from outside the city to come in, or people to come back, and gave them more affordable housing there. And look, you get to live in the lap of luxury across the street from the pit. But you know, it's what it is. But yeah, they unfortunately,
area now.
yeah, but unfortunately, certain pets, many pets did not survive Sandy or 9/11 or anything like that, and it's just that breaks my heart because I can see an adult die better than I can see an animal die because they're innocent.
Yeah.
What about you, Balls? You lived through Sandy, right? You were in the Bronx at the time, no?
Yeah, I had to. I worked at News 12, and yeah, I had to cover that. Thankfully, of course, I was behind the camera. I was in the control room as a director, but I remember Mike Favetta, the weather guy, sleeping in my house, in my apartment, because they, for all the people that lived not too close to the station, a lot of people lived in Manhattan. He lived in Jersey. They would have a, they put everybody up in a hotel room if they wanted, but they didn't put them up in a hotel in the Bronx. They chose Mamaroneck in Westchester County, and Mamaroneck is known for flooding in regular rain. So
Wanted them to be on top of the action.
yeah, so I was like,
change some of these places so that they're less affected by rain.
right? I don't know. You would think so, right? But I gave everybody a heads up that they shouldn't go there. But so he was like, can I crash at your place? I was like, sure. And I feel like that was around our baby shower. It might have been like, was it 2012 or 2013?
2012.
Yeah. So it was a baby shower for my daughter, for Isabella, and I remember we still had like food left over we brought back from the catering hall, and we did lose power, but that was really it. So like, I'm not complaining that all we lost was that food, but at the time you're like, oh damn, and then you
money on this.
You hear everything else. But yeah, no, I was working, I wasn't working as long as any of the crews out there that, were fixing things and all that. But you know, they had us working 12 hours in the newsroom, but
Mm.
I was like, I need to get home. My wife's pregnant.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
so
I forgot that was the
yeah.
same week. I remember that baby shower.
Yeah, it was a day after, I think, or 2 days after, or something like that.
Wow.
I
Wow.
feel like
Wow.
I remember we got everything back, and yeah, and then that was coming because Favetta was sitting in the living room. He had the TV on. He was on his phone having updates, and there just was just like, you know, baby stuff next to him.
Well, our hearts go out to everybody affected by. How do you pronounce the name of the hurricane?
Ida?
Ida. Duh. I'm thinking of the other storm the other day. That was an Henri. So yeah, Ida, and hopefully it's only one person ended up passing away, and they get power and water back and return to semi-normal.